We talking about the whole lust situation and everything, but I'll be a hypocrite if I don't address the situation that happened with you.
There is no situation with me.
The one where you was messing with the 16-year-old girl?
So I'm sure that all of you have at least heard of No Jumper. No Jumper is the YouTube channel that is home to interviews, debates, and all manner of podcasting. Nowadays, there are a lot of people on the shows. There are like 5 different running podcasts, actually, like at any given time. And it may be hard to like kind of keep track of how many things are going on at once. But the man behind this empire is Adam22. Real name, Adam John Grand Mason. And he's someone you probably recognize if you're familiar with the rap world or the BMX world, skateboarding, stuff like that, because he's kind of been at the head of a lot of that culture in the past 10-15 years. If Joe Rogan represents the cross-section between MMA and comedy, then Adam represents the meeting of BMX, rap culture, and adult film stars. And it's built him his own little empire on YouTube. I mean, he's easily raking in tens of thousands of dollars a month, no doubt, in ad revenue, never mind the amount of money he's making from brand deals and merchandise, and all of these other avenues, right? And he also does adult content with his wife, Lena the Plug, so the guy is just raking in cash. He's kind of a psychotic money-making machine in that way. And honestly, I respect it. I mean, I personally am a passive fan of No Jumper, and I really enjoy some of the podcasts. You know, he puts on a good show. But recently, Adam has been in some hot water for some claims made about him, and it ended up blowing up on his show, blowing up on Twitter, and now it seems like everyone who has ever had a problem with Adam is now gleefully watching his downfall, and in fact, actually wishing for it. And this came at the same time that a bunch of his crew were fired or left for unrelated reasons, so it really is just a tough situation.
I'm just chilling with Adam, yeah, I'm just chilling with Adam, I'm just chilling with Adam, look, that's the host Adam, I'm just chilling with Adam.
Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't think that this is the end of No Jumper. I think regardless of if these claims are true, he'll probably be fine on YouTube, you know, on that side of things. He probably will lose some connections, but I don't think that it will be the end of his career, as some people are saying it will be. But speaking of the claims, the allegations, enough dancing around it, what are these claims? Well, the way this all started was that this guy called Mr. Catch-em-all on Instagram was invited to the No Jumper podcast for an episode. And basically, they were live streaming on YouTube with the chat and everything, and the topic of forgiving terrible people came up, and whether or not it's okay to forgive someone who has done something terrible like a murderer or someone like that. And then, live on the air, the guy who was on, you know, Mr. Catch-em-all, the predator perv catcher guy, he decided to bring up the allegations of Adam sleeping with a 16-year-old girl. And just as he says that, the live stream ends.
So what's up with these allegations of Adam with a 16-year-old?
Nah, come on, bro. We can't do that, man.
What
come
you mean
on,
we can't
man.
do that?
Come on,
but
bro.
Wait, no. I'll be a hypocrite if I don't address it.
Man, come on,
but
man.
Now, this is the end of the episode, and I've been unable to find an archive or a re-upload of the whole thing anywhere on YouTube. Like, this thing is completely wiped as far as I can tell. But what I was able to find was this upload of a video that Mr. Catch-em-all, or the official perv buster, decided to post to Instagram. And here we get to see more of the confrontation and what actually went down here.
I'm just a perv buster. So if some paperwork was put up on my table, well, hey, what you doing? You turn. What you doing?
Live over with already now, man.
You said what?
The live over with, man. Man, come on, man. Like,
we just gotta be real about it though. But I'll be a hypocrite if I don't address it.
And basically in this first clip, it just kind of goes back and forth for a bit. Adam's co-host, Flacco, is just telling him, like, shut up, don't say that, don't go there, don't bring up those allegations. And the guy filming just keeps pushing and is like, hey man, you know, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't come on here and ask this question, considering that I exposed others for doing the same thing, you know, hooking up with people that are too young to be hooking up with an adult. And the vibe, the energy of the room gets super awkward as soon as he says that. And Adam was not actually in the room at the time that this was brought up. He was not on the show at all. In fact, this was a different podcast, you know, it was on the No Jumper channel. It was under the No Jumper brand, but he wasn't on the show. But after Flacco ends the stream and a few minutes pass, he comes in the room to talk to the cameraman.
So look, bro.
So pretty much.
So look, bro. I can't look. I'm a perv buster. I catch online pedophiles. So we talking about the whole lust situation and everything, but I'll be a hypocrite if I don't address the situation that happened with you.
There is no situation with me.
The one where you was messing with the 16-year-old girl?
It never happened. What do you think happened? The article says
I'm going
was
on
19 when I met her.
She was 19 when you met her?
Yeah. The article says it.
So, but what did you say?
I said that I spoke to her on the phone when she was 16 before I realized that she was.
All right,
she
well,
was
that's how we catch a lot of
that's how we catch
She was
him.
Canadian. She didn't even know that she was doing something
It don't even matter, but that's how we catch
That
them.
you felt like you were gonna come on my platform and expose me though. Like, why?
No,
why did you let this happen?
it was just in the midst of the conversation.
And basically what Adam says here is that, I didn't do anything with a 16-year-old. He references some articles and says that, well, in the article it says that she was 19 when we hooked up in person. And after some pushback, he goes on to say, well, I spoke to her once when she was 16 and I was 21, but nothing happened. But after a few years passed and she was 19, then we did have sex, we did have a relationship.
It was in the midst of the conversation.
But you came on my platform and spread lies like that?
Lies?
Lies.
Is it lies?
I mean, you could have done some research and figured out any.
Did you talk to her when you were 16?
19, for like 5 minutes when I was 21. I'm 39.
You wasn't 23?
I was. I might have been 21, 22.
How you don't know? How you don't know if you was
Because it was
21?
20 years ago.
It still happened though, but we can't take that jacket off.
Wait, right?
We can't take that jacket off for
Fair,
nobody.
right?
You gotta go.
Hey man,
All you guys.
let's go. Look, yeah.
And basically during this whole clip, Adam maintains this story. He says he spoke to her once when she was 16 and he was 21, but nothing happened because she was too young. It was just a platonic conversation at this point, and when he found out her age, they stopped talking. And then they reconnected once he was 24 and she was 19, at which point they did hook up. Now, the guy filming this does not seem to believe that and takes issue with the interpretation of events. He basically does not believe Adam. He calls him a liar. Adam calls him a liar in return and says he's coming on his platform to try and expose him. But what he's exposing him with is lies, it's falsehoods, it's slanderous, right? And at this point, Adam tells him to leave because he's coming onto his show, his channel, to spread what Adam is claiming are lies, right?
Oh yeah, man, he kicking us out, bro. He kicking us out. Why you kicking us out, bro?
Because I don't appreciate you guys coming on my platform and spreading lies like that.
It's not lies.
Research,
It's not lies. It's something that you admitted though. Thank you. You was 23, she was 16. I'm a perv buster. What you think I'm here doing? I'm here on business.
Now, this clip has gotten a ton of attention on social media. A re-upload of it to Twitter has 80,000 likes, and it's just like 1 or 2 days old, so it's probably going to be, hitting 100K any moment now. It also got tweeted out by the Drama Alert Twitter account, and basically all of the replies are people calling him a freak or some kind of pedo, saying he needs to be exposed, saying they're glad it happened, all that kind of stuff, right? And a lot of people who have grievances with No Jumper or Adam22 in general are posting videos or memes and celebrating it, saying they're glad that he's finally failing, and they're seeing the downfall of Adam22, and it's amazing.
Smoke it, roll that, like that, smoke it.
And there are also all of these compilations being posted of No Jumper clips, basically saying that Adam is some kind of harasser, assaulter, etc. They're showing old clips of him, they're showing old tweets he made, but this kind of 16-year-old story is really the bigger thing here that everyone's talking about, and it's kind of what I want to focus on today because to me it's the most interesting of these allegations. So where does this even come from in the first place, right? Who is this 16-year-old girl? When was this? Does she even exist? What's the deal here? Well, here we have this post from the H3 subreddit titled, "Is this what Ethan was talking about?" Adam22 had a blog post about how he slept with a 16-year-old girl when he was 23. He deleted the blog, but it can be found in the archives. And then this blog is linked here. Now, I can't seem to find the entire blog or a link to the archive for the life of me. It's mostly just screenshots other people posted. So in any case, just know what we're referencing here is a screenshot. Now, keep in mind, Adam has confirmed that this blog existed. It was from him, but he disagrees with people's interpretation. But before we get into that, I think it'd be best to just read it out. So in any case, here's what he actually said in this blog from, I believe, 2007 or 2008. "This is a story about love." Well, no, but it's a story about girls. One girl in particular, a girl who's a bit of an internet legend in her own right, even though right now she's still just 19 years old. Now, to be sure, she's no Singy Margolis, Howard Stern's ass girl, or even a Boxy, but she's got quite a bit of myth and legend surrounding her regardless. That girl is Desiree. This story begins quite a long time ago when I was just 23 years old. At the time, I was posting heavily on the B9 board, and for those who don't know, the B9 board was a hardcore music board for the hardcore music genre back in, early 2000s. Why do so many of my stories start this way? And Desiree posted on there too. She had already carved out quite a reputation by way of numerous stories that circulated concerning her promiscuous behavior. I recall reading stories involving torrid acts like doing on a tour bus at Warped Tour with the singer of a band, following a band around tour with her mom all over Canada. She grew up in Vancouver, although she was born in Romania or some other weird so she could have sex with the singer, and many other stories, all involving dudes and bands, obviously. Of course, there was the obvious nude scandal. Although true nudes of Desi have never surfaced, many near nudes have, which caused quite the stir. retarded hardcore cliches, she's straight edge and proud of it, and the adoring hardcore fanboys. She was, and still is, a bit of a celebrity in the hardcore world. Her and I talked on MySpace for a while, and she was, unsurprisingly, flirty. I doubt at the time I was on the level of coolness of the band dudes she was hooking up with, but she apparently had the foresight to realize how cool I would inevitably end up being. Wink wink. One night in particular, we ended up talking on the phone and she went into vivid detail about how she wanted me to go to Canada to see her and have sex with her. I won't even bother telling you the things that she described wanting me to do to her, because by the end of the story, I'll actually have done all of them to her, and worse. The conversation left me hot and bothered, to say the least. Now, any of the math inclined out there are probably reading this and thinking something like, she's 19 now, you were 23 then, how old was she then? Well, she was 16, but come on man, look at her. She's 18 or 19 in most of the pics here, but she didn't look much different at all back then. If statutory is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Bruh.
Now, I could make the argument that the age of consent is 16 in Canada, although I'm sure traveling from America to Canada to have sex with a minor is still illegal as hell, but really, f***ing argument, she was stupid hot and I wanted in.
Bruh.
Now, this reads super bad, like very, very bad. Being in your 20s and hooking up with a 16-year-old girl, not good, buddy, not good, definitely not good. Predatory for sure. But according to Adam, she was actually 19 at the time that this happened, and this was kind of taken out of context or misworded, and this is not what happened at all. There's an account saying that I f***ed a 16-year-old 10 years ago when I was 23, but actually she was 19, don't listen to it, and that's a fair enough response, except for the fact that, as one person in the replies notes, he said that she was 16 years old in the post. I mean, he even references statutory rape law, right? So it looks a little sussy here, not gonna lie. But maybe it was bad wording on his part. I mean, there could be some other explanation for what happened here, right? Innocent until proven guilty. It's important. There has to be something here that does not lead to the conclusion of Adam the evil guy or whatever, right? Now, as for what article he was referencing when he was on the recording of Mr. Catch-em-all, I'm actually not sure what he's referring to. There are a lot of news articles about Adam in general, and there are also a lot of new articles, going up about Adam after the podcast live stream ended, because a lot of people are talking about these allegations, right? But as for older articles, which I assume you'd have to be referencing, I think the one he's probably referring to is this one from Newsweek. Now, this article is referring to allegations made about him years ago in 2017, claiming that he was some kind of sexual assaulter. And in the article, they also mentioned the blog post around the 16-year-old and actually got a statement from him about it. I wrote the post in question over 10 years ago and deleted it within 6 months of writing it, but people saved archived versions of the post and have been sending it around trying to imply that I had sex with her when she was 16, when in reality, I was making light of the bad luck I experienced. I met her online, but she didn't tell me that she was 16 until we first spoke on the phone. Although, to be fair, it would have been legal via Canadian law, so she didn't even realize why I had to stop talking to her until after I explained that the age of consent in America is 18. Now, maybe for you, this is a good enough explanation, but for a lot of people, it's not. In fact, they're basically straight up ignoring what he said here. But this whole thing kind of turned into this big rabbit hole that I fell down, and I kept looking and looking, and the more stuff I found, the less sure I am of what really happened here. And I'll just kind of explain what I found. So I managed to find this old tweet from 2018, which reads as follows. A statement from Adam22's victim, who tried to physically block her vagina with her hands before he pinned her arms down. At 5'3", she gave in and was later terrified her mom, who she shared a wall with, would hear her crying. He doxed and posted nudes of her online. It's all archived. And this thread continues on with a lot of other posts. Before I get into the rest of what the author, Helen, says, I'm going to read this post that she's claiming is from the victim herself, Desiree. Adam22, aka Adam John Grand Mason of No Jumper and On Some manipulated me into sexual relations when I was a 16-year-old girl. Me when I was 19, doxed me with a revenge blog months after he raped me, which included topless photos of me as a minor, and continued to intimidate, harass, and defame me publicly for years to follow. It would be noted for the record that he was well into his 20s when he began sexual relations when I was 16. He's denying this, despite the fact that multiple women have come forward with similar allegations over the past decade. His method is to dox women, or bully, or intimidate, or publicly shame, or threaten them into silence. He's done this multiple times, and there's evidence of it as well as dozens of witnesses who are willing to confirm this. He knows all the horrible things he's done. He's even admitted that one day he knew the mob would come for him because he knows he's guilty of these allegations. The abuse I endured from Adam22 stole years off my life, plunged me into a deep depression, and affected every relationship I have to this day. I suffer every day from PTSD and anxiety as a result of this abuse. I have no reason to lie because I have absolutely nothing to gain from coming forward with these allegations. I don't want money. I want my story to be heard because my voice was silenced for years out of fear. Adam22 severely underestimates the amount of incriminating evidence and tenacity not only I, but as multiple other victims have. The time is now for Adam22 to come to terms confirms with the fact that his victims, us survivors, are willing to solidify this evidence for anyone willing to listen. And basically included with this are a few posts from him on the B9 board, basically showing his account, showing that someone was linking the Desiree Aleda story, part 1. And if we go to his profile, it seems like on the B9 board, it says Adam22 cleared of all charges. And if we look at the last screenshot, we can see what looks like an archive of the blog in question that everyone's talking about. And then we can see some pictures of her that I'm not sure if they're fully nude or near nude. In the blog post itself, he says that they're like near nude and there's no real nudes of Desiree that got leaked. But in these posts, it looks like there's a lot of skin showing, but once again, I can't really tell. Anyway, let's go on to read the rest of the thread from Helen, the person who posted it, and claims that she's in contact with the victim. She was a minor in several photos. Adam posted a link to his blog on the B9 board with clear intent to slander. The cultivated what his victim describes as a relationship based on fear and control. I believe women. Women gain nothing and sacrifice everything to share their stories. She doesn't want clout or money. She's had to sick lawyers on him once already to force him to remove her nudes and name. I have read the emails. You've all seen at Connor Tripler's thread. What more do you need? Don't accept this treatment for women. Don't accept this is all in the past. It's also come to light someone I personally know and won't name was harmed by Adam22 and has suffered greatly. Think hard about the women you know, respect, and love before you decide victims are chasing clout. Women risk their mental health, friendships, and relationships to come forward. Believe women. If you supported me when you saw my busted face on your timeline, you cannot let this slide. Let Atlantic Records know this is not okay. If you want to let this slide, if you think people outgrow this behavior, you don't understand how the cycle of abuse works, just unfollow me. I promise you falling out of good graces with one person with clout is not the end of the world. Fall into good graces with the right side of history. Young people are looking at your actions and they'll remember the decisions you made during the #MeToo movement in every industry. And the last tweet basically reads, by the way, his victim has thanked me endlessly for putting in the emotional labor of even listening, let alone caring. She shouldn't have to thank me or ever feel like a burden. It shouldn't be a burden to believe women and offer supports. Help break the cycle. Don't support no jumper. And that pretty much wraps up this thread. And basically this person is claiming that she was in contact with the alleged victim here, that this victim is a real person, and that they are the same person who was referenced in this blog from years ago, being Desiree. This is accompanied by the statement I read earlier in which she claims that she was 16 when they hooked up and 19 when he full-on raped her. And now the reason I say alleged, and I will continue to, is because, I mean, to me, even with how much there is here, you know, we've got this person claiming that the victim, you know, was someone they spoke to. We've got Adam's old blog. Even with this stuff, at the end of the day, this is all one person claiming one thing and another person just repeating that, basically. And Adam full-on denies it. Keep in mind, I don't know the girl in question. You guys don't know the girl in question. I have no idea how old she is or was then. I've never seen a government document. Like, I don't know Adam, so I'm not going to automatically necessarily believe him. But you do have to go by innocent until proven guilty in this kind of scenario, and none of this has ever been to court. And obviously, it's hard to take these things to court, right? Sometimes it can be difficult to get evidence, and there's statute of limitations. There's a lot that goes into this. And I don't want to call the victim a liar, because obviously, like, you know, that makes you a piece of shit if they're telling the truth. But at the same time, you know, I don't want to fall definitively on this because I just don't know. I wasn't there. I feel like I would need a little more to totally make a solid ruling on this, so to speak. You know what I mean? And frankly, you can get in legal trouble if you make definitive statements about people and you're unable to prove them and, you know, to substantiate them. Now, with that disclaimer out of the way, let's get into the conclusions you could draw from this, okay? If you want to call Adam guilty, the strongest pieces of evidence you have right now is the blog post, and the blog post is going to haunt him forever because it looks really bad. But according to him, it was basically just written in bad taste, it's being misconstrued, and he never actually hooked up with this girl when she was 16. This tweet, in which the person claims to have spoken to the victim, claims he did even worse than what many people think the blog post implies, and if you believe that, then you basically think Adam is a complete piece of shit. Now, at the end of this Twitter thread, there's another linked thread, but it's actually gone. I can't seem to find it. This is the one from this Connor Tripler Twitter account. I don't know who this is. And upon searching the archives, I also could not find an archive of that thread. Now, there is this other article as well from Uproxx, which basically recounts these same allegations from 2018 with Desiree. But once again, the article basically falls neutral on it because at the end of the day, this is all a he said, she said. We just don't know. Adam22, one of the most well-known gatekeepers for modern rappers, is denying accusations that he raped a 19-year-old girl a decade ago. Adam22, real name Adam Grandmason, helped bring controversial artists like XXXTentacion and Tekashi69 to fame via his No Jumper podcast. He recently signed a deal with Atlantic Records. When news of his signing broke, various accounts came out on social media criticizing the deal and bringing up accusations that he began dating a Canadian woman named Desiree Aleda when she was 16 and raped her when she was 19. They also accused him of sharing nude photos of her. Adam has responded to the allegations on Twitter. It's f***ing sad how all it takes is a completely fabricated story from 10 plus years ago to fool so many, he tweeted. He continued by noting that, I've got all these old emails from her about our relationship and zero mention abuse or Why? Because it never happened. He then posted a pair of alleged emails from Aleda in which he says that it indicates that there was no sexual misconduct between the two because it was like an amicable conversation, right? Here's an email the victim sent me after I posted the blog about our time together, where she corrects me on some details I might have missed in my story. Notice how there's no mention of abuse or rape. Does this sound like someone who was in an abusive relationship? Now, the natural response if you think Adam is innocent is to say, well, this indicates or maybe even proves it, right, that, he didn't do anything because based on the emails, they had a normal relationship that was not weird in any way. She didn't even seem to have a problem with a blog post with the pictures of her. But then the response, if you think that he's guilty, would be to say, oh, well, sometimes victims don't know they're a victim until long after, and recognizing abuse can take a while when you're a victim, right? Stuff like that. Yes, it does. It sometimes takes people a while to accept they've been, especially if it was by someone they cared about and trusted. The article then goes on to link the thread from Helen that I showed earlier, as well as a few tweets from the Connor Tripler account, tweets that no longer exist, but from the article embedding them, they read, Desiree Aleda, a survivor who was accused at Adam22 of has come forward and posted a statement under her full name on the B9 forums, where Adam was once a large presence. I believe her. A longer story is still coming. Congrats to No Jumper for starting a record label in partnership with Atlantic Records. Here's a thread about Adam22 sleeping with a 16-year-old girl, sharing nude photos of a 16-year-old girl, and physically assaulting a woman. And so this is basically the old allegations from 2018, and now this brings us back to the present because they've all resurfaced as a result of this guy going on the podcast. Now, another guy named Joe Budden ended up confronting Adam over this and basically criticized him, saying, well, even if you didn't bang her when she was 16, it's still a messed up thing to do and you shouldn't have done it.
They don't even know when they're putting somebody in danger, according to you. You said the girl was from wherever she was from, so she didn't know what she was doing, but you knew what you were doing. You said, right. I knew what I was doing, so I got away from her. Well, right. You didn't get away from her if by the grace of God, she ends up back in your life while she's now of age. You're spending the night at her fucking mom's house. What type of white boy pervert what are you talking?
What is the pervert about dating somebody once they are legal and of age?
You know what it sounds like, and I'm not saying this is what it is.
Joe, I didn't say a word to her for 3.5 years. It's like we just sort of ended up.
You waited for the girl. You waited for the girl, Adam.
Huh?
You waited for the girl.
And now a rapper, Lil Pump, someone who Adam went on tour with when Lil Pump was very young, decided to go on Instagram Live amidst all of this, and he actually called him a straight p***o in this clip.
Girls my age, right? Adam was f***ing girls that was the same age as me when I was 16. Like, what's wrong with you, bro? You are a straight p***o. So, you know what? I'm gonna leave that p***o over there. I already got him spooked, and he knows. When I see it, it's on sight.
And for now, that's pretty much it with the developments. So to recap, someone went on a No Jumper podcast during which he brought up allegations from 2018, allegations which initially cost Adam his deal with Atlantic Records. And this has now been posted to places like World Star Hip Hop, Twitter, etc., and is blowing up. Joe Budden criticized him for this. Lil Pump straight up called him a pet. And yeah, as for my opinion on where this is going to take Adam's career, whether or not it's true, I think he'll definitely lose some business connections with this. In the end, the podcast is still getting decent views, and it probably will continue to because he has strong viewership there. That being said, his brand, in terms of the potential to market and connect with other people, probably will suffer as a result of this, and it will definitely take a big hit. As for what happened here, as for what Adam actually did and what the truth of the allegations are, I don't know. I just make drama videos. So on that note, thanks for watching. Like if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it. Leave a comment down below giving me your thoughts on the Adam22 situation, the allegations, what you think about all of this, and I will see you all in the next video tomorrow. Bye.